You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
When I listen to my heart, I can hear you whisper, asking me lovingly to come and follow you. Here I am. Did I hear you call my name?
Good morning. This is Dare to Love Show. I am Sister Lavina Pamet, Franciscan Sister of the Sacred Heart. I am the coordinator for religious ministries and officer religious in the Archdiocese of Chicago. This morning we have a guest. His name is Brother Alan Pacquing. He is currently, so there's quite a difference in the time, but here is Brother Alan bright early in the morning. It's like right around, let's not even mention that unholy hour, but that's okay. It looks like Hawaii is looking good. Aloha, Brother Alan.
Aloha, sister. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for having me on the show.
And thank you so much for saying yes to being our guest. So just a little background is Brother Alan and I really don't know each other. However, I was looking for a brother who can represent the religious brothers. We're celebrating Religious Brothers Day, May 1st. And so really for this whole month of May, I really intend to kind of put a little bit of a highlight on brothers. And for the National Religious Vocation Conference, NRVC, it's their magazine called Vision Vocation Magazine that is, putting out a lot of these articles that really helps a lot of people who are interested in vocation, or at least, kind of like looking at what is God calling me in this life, right? And I saw your article and I'm like, this is perfect. I got to contact him. And I tried to track you down and he's like, well, you were in San Antonio and now you're in Hawaii. So, Brother Alan, tell us a little bit more about yourself. I know you're with the Society of Mary, or otherwise known as Marianist. So why don't you go ahead and, tell us what you're doing right now, where you are, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, thank you, sister. Currently, my ministry is at one of our Marianist-sponsored schools. So I'm at Chaminade University of Honolulu, and I'm currently the Director of Advising for the Education Division. So I deal with all students in education from the bachelor's all the way to the doctoral level.
Okay. And how long has that been? Because it just seemed like it was almost like yesterday. I mean, it just seemed like your perpetual vows was just like a couple years ago or something?
Yeah, 2 years ago during COVID.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah, so that was a bit different from usual the big celebration. During COVID, everything was locked down. So even the vow ceremony and even the reception was quite limited.
Yeah.
But so I've been back home for 2 years. So I got back in 2021.
Okay.
2021.
Okay. So tell us a little bit more. How did you even get to know the Marianists? And, was there someone that you met or someone that you got inspired about and that's why you joined the community? A little bit more about your vocation story.
Sure, of course. Yeah, I went to a Marianist high school, and so I knew the Marianists then, but at that time, I never thought that the Marianist life or the religious life was going to be part of me, even though I was brought up with a lot of sisters and priests in my parish. I come from a immigrant family. My parents immigrated to Hawaii, and so we grew up in the church. In fact, we lived close by the church, so there was no escape of missing anything. And so only afterwards that I realized how much I enjoyed and savored or was inspired by the charism of the Marianists. At that time, it was not talked about too much when I was in high school and even after college, but only afterwards somebody approached me about the life of being a brother.
Mm-hmm. And so, why a brother and not move on into a priest? Not that brothers are like one stage and then you go into the priesthood. Of course, religious life, you go through initial formation for several years,
Right.
but you have different tracks, and you chose the religious brother track. Why? I mean,
Hmm.
why not just be ordained and become a
Well,
priest, right?
right. That's true. My family even asked me that too. When are you going to become a priest?
Mm,
I said, no, God is calling me for this life. To be honest, the priesthood was something that I was thinking about,
mm,
but when I was going through that, it wasn't the call for me.
mm.
Um, Being called as a brother, living in community, and serving the way how I do was plenty enough. And God has really inspired me to continue that life as being a brother. I don't have any issues with that, and I support my brothers who are priests. In fact, a little bit different for the Marinists. It's a bit different. We are all called as brothers first, and
Ah,
from that, then we go on to priesthood. And in our congregation, about a third are priests, but we are brothers first. And we
okay.
discern as a community if one would go on, is one called to the priesthood. So a little bit different from some of our brother congregations.
Gotcha. Yeah, that is a different call because being a brother, meeting like confrere to each other,
Hmm.
is really your religious life, is kind of like your
Correct.
basic call. And
Yeah.
then
And
the
then so with
ministry,
us, I'm sorry, and and then
yeah.
so with us, if that is your call for the priesthood, then again we will discern together with you for for that. But we are all brothers first. So many of our priests
Hmm.
will call themselves, I'm an ordained brother.
Ah, I like that. I
Yeah,
don't
so a
think I've
little
heard
bit
that
different
before.
twist on how the church sees the priesthood and brotherhood, all of that. So as an ordained brother.
Okay, that's wonderful. And I think so. I know that was it just last year or 2 years ago when the Vatican finally, although like in practice it's been happening, but finally
Mm.
kind of like the Pope approved, Vatican approved
Hmm.
formal leadership, like recognized leadership that's actually canonical leadership for
Right.
brothers. Either last year or 2 years ago. So has the Marianist community been practicing that then in terms of leadership for brothers,
Um,
or not
it's funny.
non-ordained brother?
Yeah, well, we actually are currently doing that now. So
Okay.
provincials can be brothers, but we have a combo set where if you have a brother provincial, then you have the assistant provincial as a priest, and
Ah.
we make sure that there is proper representation, both brothers and priests.
Mm-hmm.
And for us as Americanists, and we are all equal. The
Mm-hmm.
brothers and priests have equal voice,
Mm-hmm.
along with our laity and also with our Maronist sisters.
Okay. So tell us a little bit more. Right now, we're looking at the Marianist family. So it's not
Mhm.
just the brothers and the ordained brothers. You have religious sisters as well,
We
and
do.
lay. What do you call your lay ministers or
Lay Marinists, yes.
lay Marianists? Okay.
Yes.
And then so you pretty much have like that Marianist family, and then according to the vocation, you kind of discern where you would go.
Right, right, right. And I think that's where I think for me being part of the Mariners was very inspirational because they help discern where God is calling you.
Mm-hmm.
It could be to the lay life, it could be to the brothers, it could be to priesthood, but it's that conversation that we have to ask ourselves and ask people, well, but where is God calling you? I mean, yeah, I was dating for a while, and that was different. But I guess my call was for something else, and for me, that didn't happen if I didn't talk to God or talk to others, or have the opportunity to talk about where God is calling one's life or how God wants me to live out, His glory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So at least you, to start with, you went to
Yeah.
a Marianist high school.
Yes.
So in a
Yeah.
way, you have contact with them already, right?
Correct, correct, correct.
So
But
how
I
would?
went,
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, I'm very familiar with different congregations,
Okay.
but not so much the Maronist.
Ah.
I have an aunt who was a religious. I have an uncle who was a religious priest. They were Jesuits, and they were RVM sisters from the Philippines. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's not uncommon. It wasn't uncommon for me to think about the life, but for me to say yes, what was a bit shocking, but I was supported either way.
Okay. And I think that's the key is exposure to, like, if you know some religious, if you know some priests and you have support. Because
Right.
I know some families that really are not as exposed to or understand or have an understanding of what religious life is, being a brother, being a priest, being a sister, or even a lay missionary part of
Right.
I used to be a lay missionary volunteer before I became a sister
Uh,
with the Redemptorists. And so even
oh,
now
nice.
as a sister, I still consider the Redemptorists sort of like, my religious community, even though not officially, but I still consider them my confreres. They were my first invitation of thinking
Of
about
course.
religious life. So that
Yeah,
was
it all
very
builds
important
on
to
each
me.
other, right?
Yeah.
It all builds. We
Yeah.
all gather everything together to who we are today.
Yeah. So uh, I think what I would like to do is we're going to be taking a break, a short break, but maybe for the second part, and I know that you kind of like explained the charism of your community, maybe a little bit more of like your ministry and some of the works
Sure.
that the Marianists do, and probably a little bit about the initial formation, like what does a brother, a religious brother, or an ordained religious Marianist brother go through in terms of
Sure.
your formation, and then a little bit more maybe about like what are you doing in Chaminade University? Are you always like in shorts and Aloha T-shirt, or what do you call it?
Of course, happy to share that.
Okay, so we'll take a short break. Again, this is Sister Lavina and this is Brother Alan. Don't go away. Come back and we'll talk a little bit more about vocation stories.
And you guide me faithfully to find a home in you. Here I am. Did I hear you call my name? Here I am, as you will. Speak, my God. I am.
Caring adults make all the difference in the lives of adolescents. Catholic Charities understands this, and our mentorship programs provide a free opportunity for young adults to spend time with volunteers who genuinely care about them. This program is ideal for youth aged 9 through 12 who may need support navigating the challenges of childhood and early adolescence. Our amazing volunteers serve as friends who help youth recognize their strengths and empower them to reach their full potential. Catholic Charities conducts a thorough background check on every volunteer, and our program coordinator closely monitors and supports every relationship. Mentoring is a fun after-school program that can help young adults build confidence and enjoy fun activities with their peers, too. To learn more, visit CatholicCharities.net or call 312-655-7970 in Cook County and 847-782-4224 in Lake County. We're connecting youth with great role models. Join us today.
People always say, how can you spend your day with 3-year-olds? Seeing the changes that they go through and just the journey and how they grow, this is a very rewarding job. Even though at the end of the day, we're not the highest paid people on earth. And when I have a parent contact me and say, my child loves school, that to me, I'm setting that foundation for their love of learning. Because really, you are changing lives, you are molding lives.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at archchicago.org/schooljobs.
Community is core to Catholic Charities' founding mission. For more than 100 years, we have met people and families where they are, serving anyone in need, regardless of their faith, gender, race, or ethnicity. As our world absorbs the economic, political, and social aftershocks of the pandemic, 50% or more of the 6 million people living in Cook and Lake counties have little or no savings. They are a paycheck away from zero. We are deeply grateful to everyone in the Catholic Charities community who partners with us to alleviate the suffering of the people we serve and offer them a better path forward. We are witnessing a message of mercy and hope to a world very much in need. Learn more at CatholicCharities.net.
sings of the love that I found in you.
A love that dwells in all of your creation.
And we are back. Again, this is Dare to Love Show, and I am Sister Lavina Pamet, your host. And with me in the studio in the background, sort of like I'm fascinated by how Michael May is kind of like operating this whole studio like a one-man band, you know. The only thing missing is I'm not hearing him singing, but that's okay. He's smiling. And my guest for today is Brother Alan. Welcome back again, Brother Alan. Thank you.
Hi,
Salamat.
sister. Nope.
And he is in Hawaii right now. And actually, the only thing that I'm regretting is that I wished I thought about like asking, you know, can you meet with me out there? You know, like, can we have a little bit of sun? It's kind of a little
Anytime.
bleak here in Chicago. So,
Always welcome here, sister. No problem.
ooh, I'll take you up on that. Okay.
Yes, of course.
Maybe next time that I do a show, it would be like a live, you know, kind of like against the, you know, island background, you know, sipping some Mai Tai or something.
Oh, yes, yes. I love that. That's my drink, the Mai Tai, you know?
Oh, there you go. There you go. How cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm drinking my hot tea right now, so because it's a
Oh,
little
same.
it's a little chilly, so yeah. But anyway, so we have been talking about like a little bit about your vocation story at the beginning when you met the Marianist brothers. You were in high school. You have relatives that are with the Jesuit community, and your family supports you. Very important is that support of family and friends, because even though it's not like a given that you're just because you know the religious communities and the Marianists that you're going to decide, you have to discern and really think about what is God calling you to in your life.
Right.
And at the same time, it's not as if you're choosing between something bad or something good, right? And sometimes that
right.
makes discernment harder. You had to choose between doing, and I heard you say community, because you could be doing something good already, ministry, serving, right? But
Right.
being with the conifers, being with the brothers, and being part of a larger, greater good together, that's what makes a difference, right? So, can we talk a little bit more about your initial formation? So you were in high school, you know the Marianist brothers and ordained brothers or priests, and the whole Marianist family, along with the sisters, the lay people, you know? So how do you, like, how many years did it take? What kind of, what are the step-by-step things that you go through before you get to that final or perpetual profession of vows?
Right. So a lot of it has to do with connections first, getting to know somebody, knowing a Marianist brother or Marianist priest, just having someone to journey with. And there is something called the aspirancy program. And so this is after you have made a contact. Well, actually first start as a contact, someone who's interested in the Marianist life, or religious life. Then after discernment, more deeper, more commitment, then we actually go through aspirancy. And we have our aspirancy over in San Antonio, Texas at St. Mary's University, another school that we sponsor. And so that's about 10 months.
Okay.
And at the end of the aspirancy, then you discern further throughout that whole year if you would want to move forward to do to enter the novitiate. And of course, that's a whole process. And the novitiate, our novitiate, is 2 years. It's a 2-year program.
Okay. So,
and then after that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So 2 years for you, because I know some men go through novitiate like a 1 year, because there is what's called a canonical year, and
That's correct.
canonical means that it, in a way, for religious communities, it's the formation is just like, oh, you do this and that. The Vatican, actually, there is in the canon law, which is pretty much like what we follow in the church. Just like, you know, there's the magisterium, the teachings of the church. In the canon law, in the canon law book, it actually states that in terms of religious formation, you have to have that novitiate period, that formation. So that is it usually the first year or the second year that you do your canonical novitiate?
The first.
Okay. And then the
Yeah.
second is what, like more ministry?
Ministry, continual formation classes, exposure, things like that.
Okay. And what happens in that, like, so people usually hear a novice or a novitiate. Can you just talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So you do everything together, and the novice year. And I always tell people who are interested about the novice years is that's the perfect 2-year long retreat that you'll never ever get again. Because you're praying together, you're discerning, and you're really looking at where God is calling you. And for some, it's a deeper reflection of where they're at in life. And some continue on with formation, or some decide not to. It's not the right fit for them, either the religious life or maybe even the group. Because it has to be the fit, that you fit and all of that. Just like I always tell students, it's like more than choosing genes. You have to have the right fit, the right charism, what they stand for, because it's all good, but you have to find a group that you are part of, that you feel connected to. And for me, it was the Marianist. So that was, for us, it's 2 years. It's a 2-year program for the novitiate.
Did you ever visit other congregations? Okay.
Right, I did.
Yeah. And you chose the one that's in Hawaii.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
It's so far. It's so close to home. You're like, why didn't I not think about it earlier? Because in Honolulu we do have a very strong religious presence in different groups. We have Franciscans. We have the Christian Brothers. Yeah, the Dominicans are here. The Sacred Hearts brothers and sisters and priests. And we do have St. Joseph of Carondelet. So Marino, is here too. So they have a very strong presence here. And for me, it was the Marianist because it's the charism for me that attracted me. I mean, I went in as a later vocation. And so lived my life, had my house, had all of those things, but there was something more. But what drew me was the charism, what they stood for and what they continually stretched the boundaries towards.
So 2 things. Obviously, if you've had a life, you've had property, your house, your car, your work, how could you give that all up?
Yeah, I mean, people always ask me because I went in later, like in my mid 40s, and there was always something kind of nudging at me. I always thought about it, but I believe if someone told me earlier, you have the heart of a brother, or you have the characteristics of someone in religious life, I think I would have considered it more seriously prior to. Even though if I was in a relationship, it's still another option where God is calling me to live my life. And the Marianist was the group that I was really attracted to because of their social justice issues. The fact that as brothers, I could be a leader, I could have a position of leadership, I would have equal voice, just as a priest would.
So you kept talking about the charism. So what is the charism of the Society of Mary, or the Marianists?
Yeah. It actually, I would kind of really make it really simple as, building communities of faith in whatever ministry you are part of. Because the Marianists started off as a lay group originally, as men and women coming together. And it was through those lay people of teachers, of cleaners, of all different groups coming together for faith after post-French Revolution. And so it was a lay group in the beginning. Then those people and those lay groups wanted a more deeper connection, a more deeper understanding, a more commitment to faith. And then the Marianist sisters came first, and then the brothers came after.
Yeah.
And so we are strong rooted in lay formation.
Yeah. And so you mentioned that you were also dating. So you must have thought about having a spouse and children. And you gave that up too.
Yeah, I think for my family, I think they were not. I mean, they were shocked, but still supportive. It's all comes down to, are you going to be happy? I mean, how
Uh-huh.
can you not be happy with church, with giving, giving sacrifice to others, helping build people up? And for them, they understood that because of our faith community at home and in our parish community, we understood it because we saw priests, brothers and priests in our community. And I think for me, that was an advantage because I saw what community was even before I entered.
Mm-hmm. And I guess for me, like being a sister, I'm the youngest in my family. And so I always
Mm,
joke and tell people, well, I was born a sister. It's like, what? And I would say, well, I'm the youngest and I have siblings. So I was born having
yeah,
siblings, right? But seriously, it's like what I've learned is that community is first and foremost. Just like you keep talking
right.
about having that community, right? And then
Yeah,
I always dreamed about having, like a family. And yet,
right,
even now, as a sister, I can focus on being sister to everyone, just like you can
right,
focus on being brother or confrere to everyone, in the whole
right,
Marianist family. And you said the charism is building community everywhere you are. I love that. That's
right.
beautiful.
Yeah, yeah,
It's all about
yeah.
the relationships.
Correct, absolutely. And we are very strong educators, but we have gone to different areas of life too. Some people are in parish ministry, some of our brothers and priests and sisters are also in social ministries, some are doing private things, we have some attorneys, and so they do some of those. We have physicians. So it really is not prescribed for you. It's where you are called, bringing what you bring to the table, bringing what you can to express or to animate the charism in what you do. And I think for me that was exciting because I
Hmm.
wasn't prescribed. You're going to do education. You're only going to do healthcare. It's where what you bring and how do you bring the charism in what you do.
I
So I'm
love
just
that.
really happy about that.
Yeah, I
Yes.
love that.
Yeah.
Hey, Brother Alan, guess what?
Yes.
We're coming to the end of a show. Oh my
Oh my God,
goodness.
so quick.
I told you it goes very quickly.
I know.
Any last words? We have like a few seconds.
Okay, I think for me, like I always tell people, just make sure that you have someone to journey with. Don't be afraid. Embrace the call and have someone to talk to. God is calling us for something, and it might be the religious life. And be open to all of the opportunities where God shows love.
Oh, that's so wonderful. So, thank you so much for agreeing to be my guest. And I kind of just wanted to let people know that if you are interested, even just getting to know the Marianist Brothers and what they do,
Mhm.
or maybe you're thinking about a vocation to. As a Marianist brother or ordained brother, just
Yeah,
go to www.marianist.com. That's
right.
Marianist, Marianist.com. Or
Hmm.
if you want to look at their vocation offerings, just, like marianist.com/slash vocations. And,
Right.
or on the YouTube channel, there will be more description about how to get in touch with Brother Allen and your community. So that's
Hmm.
going to be put on there. For those on the radio listening live to this, just go to marianist.com and you'll find a community. Thank you
Right.
so much, Brother
Oh
Allen.
my gosh, thank you, sister. Oh
And
my God,
thank
that
you,
was great.
Mike, for
So
Mike
quickly.
May is our sound engineer and one man band show. So this
Thanks,
is Dare
Mike.
to
I
Love,
appreciate it.
Sister
Thank you.
Lavina. God bless everybody.
Bye. Be well.